All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the first Bleach Rebirth of Souls video, I guess. I wanted to also hello everyone. I've got the camera sorted now. I have the new laptop, so hopefully I'll be able to stream and record and do all that fun stuff as we go through. Um, but I think, as I've mentioned, maybe a bit too much in the previous streams that I've done. I'm going to be playing Bleach Rebirth of Souls. I did pre-order it. I got the Ultimate Edition as well, so we'll get all of um, the new costume sets, and we'll get the characters, the Thousand Year Blood War characters, um, 7 days before they release for the Battle Pass. Um, so that's pretty exciting. I cannot wait. I actually cannot wait for the game to come out. It's going to be awesome. But I thought what we do today is we just go over the character trailers, and see how we get on. See what we can pick up from each character. Now, the I'm using the Bandai Namco uh, channel. Let me turn that down a bit because I feel like it's going to be too loud. But yeah, so on their on their playlist, they've done it the other way around. So they've done like the oldest ones at the bottom, and then the most recent ones at the top. So I think what I'll do is just start from the bottom with Ruki Okuchiki here, and then um and then we'll just work our way up to the top. There is like 32 of them, and probably more characters coming, because obviously we have like another month and 3 weeks or something like that, about 7 weeks left until the game comes out. And so yeah, I don't know. We'll see, we'll see. But the roster's looking really, really good. It's starting off with about 30 odd characters, I think, so far, which for the start of an anime, like technically Arena Fighter, but not really because it has a story. But for the release of a game like this, 30 character like a 30 character roster is crazy. So I don't know if I'm gonna pause it and like read stuff because I'm this is so late that I'm assuming everybody else that will watch this video would have already seen the other Bleach Rebirth of Soul stuff. But I'm just gonna have a look at it. I think I've seen all of these, but it's always handy to rewatch. I'm not entirely sure who my main is going to be yet. I'm mainly leaning towards Shinji Hirako, but we'll see. We'll see. So we start off with Ruki Okuchiki here. We've got our Sojuna Shiraiki, and from what I understand, she's like a mid-range fighter. She doesn't have much damage, um, but she can get some decent combos with the Shakaho here, with the signature move. So yeah, she has some ranged attacks, and she covers the distance quite quickly, but her damage is very, very low, from what I understand. Also, yeah, I'm watching the English one just because or the American one, I don't know, whatever. Um, just for I don't know, ease of watch, I suppose. But yeah, here we go. So look, strong restraint and an array of abilities for many situations. So she covers a lot of ground. She doesn't do much damage, but she's very good at locking opponents into where they ideally want to be for her to get her optimal rotations out. Because as you can see, I said I wouldn't pause it, but um, I'm going to just check because they're so quick. They're like a minute long, and they only show four abilities of each one anyway. But the signature move obviously doesn't cost any um, spiritual pressure. Doesn't cost any. I forget what they call it in the anime actually, but yeah, spiritual pressure. Reiki maybe or something like that. Um, so you can just literally keep spamming this as much as you want to. But the good thing about this game is there is a lot of movement. Like there's very, very easy ways just to counter people who keep zoning or like spamming long range attacks. Um, so, but I mean, I'll get to that when I watch the gameplay of actual like fights that we saw from Jump Festa, and I think there's been some new ones released recently as well. So we'll have a look at those in another video. But I won't spend too long on it. But yeah, this is the first range one, and then spiritual pressure move one, which costs 50 spiritual pressure. Um, Byakurai is another ranged attack, and also it says here she becomes momentarily invincible, which is nice. And then obviously she does a lunge and slash, so she seems to be alright. She's a very basic character. Just control where your opponent is, and basically base your rotations off of the distance, essentially. So we got Ichigo Kurosaki here. I think this is the base form of Ichigo, right? I believe there's two forms that will be in the game. At least two. There might be a third one, I don't know. Coming with the battle pass, but let's have a look. So this is obviously um your MC, right? Your main character. He seems to attack really fast. Okay. Okay. Yep.
I'm not losing.
Alright. Dude, the anime, like the graphics on this game look insane. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. But yeah, he seems pretty straightforward. He's your main character is going to be a straightforward character, right? Can't be too complicated because obviously it's the first character you play with in the game. But if we go to the reverse here, so this was really interesting. This is the only thing I'll pause on for Ichigo. But reverse action is the key to offense and defense. Um, and basically Ichigo gets um specific enhancements, I think, with the white boost, like the white reverse one, which I think gives you a little bit of healing, makes you a bit faster, and Ichigo, I think, gets a damage boost off of it or something like that, and it does one more Konpaku with his Kikon move. So, I mean, if used in the right scenario, you could end fights with that. Because I think there will be situations where you're not quite in the sublimation state. Again, I will explain this in another video, but just for now, there'll probably be situations where you're not in the sublimation state yet. They have four Kompaku left, and you can only do three unless you soul break, which is just going to take longer, right? And the longer the fight goes on, the more chance there are to make mistakes and for the opponent to come back. So you want to maybe save your reverse gauge until you get to a point where they're at four Kompaku, and if you're not at sublimation yet, then you can use the white reverse and you do an extra Kompaku with your Kikon move, and that would just end the fight. But you want to make sure they're low for that as well, because if the reverse runs out, then that's it. It's your buff is gone. And you have to wait to build it up again. And I think the way you build up your reverse meter or your gauge or whatever you want to call it, um, is by activating spiritual pressure moves or signature moves. I'm not sure about the signature moves, but definitely by signature pressure, spiritual pressure moves. But yeah, anyway, so the first two seem really sort of basic, easy to pick up and play. We got Uryu here, which I'm interested to see because Uryu Ishida uses a bow. So ranged characters, I would assume, are going to be annoying, and you've got to close the distance. But depending on what abilities he has from the anime here, he could be a massive bait to fight.
Now then, let's begin.
Look, full range. He's fast as well.
I'll get you.
What's that? Holding still, Schneider, Uryu absorbs an opponent's attack and fires back a powerful attack of his own. So he has a counter. So he has range and counter. So you want to get someone. Yeah, basically you don't want to come up against close combat fighters with Uryu. Otherwise, although that I guess that counter can create range for you, but that because that's a spiritual pressure too,
I won't hold back.
that's going to cost 100 of your spiritual gauge, like your spiritual pressure gauge. Okay. Sick. Okay. So strong with ranged attacks, obviously, because he uses a bow. that can be performed unilaterally to keep opponents at bay. So it's another one that just wants to be keeping opponents at range. Um, but yeah, I think both Rukia and Uryu so far want to keep opponents at range. So that you can keep firing off your zoning techniques or whatever and just whittle down their damage and their Reishi, sorry, until they get down to that 30% range, and then you can do your I don't know what you want to call like a rushing attack is when the screen goes red. You'll see in the in the gameplay at another time, but or you probably would have already seen already. But it's I don't know. Each character is very very different. Byakuya Kuchiki, I might have to play around with Byakuya Kuchiki here. His stances are ridiculous. Like the range he has, he covers all bases. So I mean, I'll say when we come up to it.
This with my blade.
So
Too late.
yeah, Senbon Zakura seal and release. So it's a technique that switches between seal and release forms. That when used properly will maintain a distance advantage over Byakuya's opponent. So he can literally fight anyone. Essentially, he can fight anyone. I think the only people he might struggle with are people like Ginichimaru, maybe Uryu as well, and there was someone else I'm trying to think of. Oh, Kisuke Urahara, because they although he has long range, um, long like extra long range fighters, I guess, can just stay out of his range and deal damage. Which I guess you can use other spiritual pressure moves of his to get closer, but like so when Senbon Zakura is sealed, right? It's just a normal sword. So you can do close combat with him. But when it's released, it becomes the petals, right? And you have insane range. Um, and then obviously when you pop your Bankai, Senbon Zakura Kageushi, the range
Too
just
weak.
is ridiculous. Yeah,
It is my turn now. Nothing you do will work
yeah.
against me.
He's got a counter as well. Great. Here
Are
we
you
go.
prepared?
Bankai. Senbon Zakura Kageushi.
Senbon Sakura.
So, um, like there's close range there, and they just showed a different spiritual pressure move. Okay, they didn't really show the range that he has in his Bankai, but when we get to the gameplay, you'll see it's ridiculous. But yeah, can fight at any distance because of his Zanpakuto's ability to change forms. Essentially, that seems broken. I don't know how you're going to combat that without. I guess he's slightly nerfed before his Bankai, right? Because you don't have the range, and even when you've uh, unsealed your Zanpakuto, like when you've released it, it still doesn't have as much range as when the Bankai is active. But still, like I don't know, especially with the counter as well. You just push the opponent back and just go into another combo. I don't know. Maybe fighters like Yoruichi would be good to counter him because she moves hella fast. You'll see. You'll see when we get to it. When the video, yeah, Flashmaster.
Well, let's get started.
There
Don't
you go.
look away.
The first thing you see is her doing a flash step. Like it's just in her kit. She just
Don't look
disappears
away.
and then reappears.
My blade's flying.
And she has a range as well.
You can't catch me.
She has a counter as well. Man, her music is so good.
Are
Right.
you ready?
So her awakening's her Shunko, obviously. I think that just enables her to do more damage and makes her a little bit faster. But yeah, she is ridiculous. Like, her speed is crazy. Yeah, good at swiftly closing in on opponents and catching them off guard. Is a really good description. Yeah, that's literally all she does. She just gets close to you. It's really hard to keep her at a distance, especially with how fast she moves. Um, including like using flash step and things like that. Um, She's ridiculous. So I guess she'd be a counter to Byakuya. Okay, what do we got here? Oh yeah, okay, we got Chad here. I don't know if I'll be playing Chad. He seems to be like a bit better than I thought he'd be. But considering the other people that are in this game, like the other characters, he's gonna have to be decent. Like, okay, so that's a charge and release. Okay, that's just a glorified flash step. And then, okay. Oh, so he has a move that has armor on it. Interesting.
Expecting this. I can't lose this battle. I'll end this.
See now, yeah, okay, increases his damage output, I'm guessing. I think that's pretty much all that does. I mean, but again, Chad's a pretty basic character in terms of his fights and his moves and abilities, so. Um, Possibilities to change the situation with a single blow. Earnest yet powerful signature move action. Yeah, because his signature move is the charge, right? Where is his signature move? Yeah, that's the charge and release. Okay. And the more he charges it and the closer the opponent is, the more powerful the attack is. Okay. Fair enough. Um, right, we've got Kisuke Uehara here, who's going to be interesting because I think he's good at checking opponents like at a certain distance and just keeping them at bay, which is why I said he'd be good for countering Byakuya maybe. Benihime.
I have no other choice.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so he sort of uses that to keep the opponent at a distance, and then you've got your ranged attack there, which is slow, but if you time it with some of his other abilities, you definitely catch him out with that. It seems to be his main damaging attack, to be fair.
I'll get serious.
Okay, so he's
Just a bit.
activated his Shikai. Yeah, he moves faster and does more flash steps, basically. Again, like obviously the characters at the start, the first ones they introduce are more basic, but yeah, he just seems to be able to keep you at a distance, but he can also do damage both at range and close combat as well. And then he's just going to be harder and harder to like sort of track and fight because he's just going to be like after he awakens his Shikai, he's just going to be moving like crazy. It's just he seems really really good. Gin, I don't know. I don't know about this dude. I don't know. Like he could be good, but at the same time, I feel like his moves are slightly obvious. If that makes any sense, because you have to be at a distance, so you can see it coming. You can't really see it with Byakuya, because it's obviously the petals, they just appear, but you'd see that being charged, right? You see him like sort of lean back a bit. Like here, you can see him lean back, although it's a quick attack, I guess. If you're at that much of a distance, you should just be able to sidestep that. I would imagine. But obviously we won't know until we get our hands on the game, but that seems pretty...
You're weak.
Again, he turns around, like that's... You'll see that happening. You'll be like, oh, let's not attack. And then that's just a massive sweep, so... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Gin. I guess
There's no escape.
at the beginning of the game he'll be quite good, because obviously everyone's going to be new to it, but after a while, those, like, inputs are going to become like way too obvious. I guess in his Bankai state, he is a bit faster, and he has more range. Yeah, but like, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see when he comes out. I will be playing every single character anyway, just to try and find who my main's going to be. But I have a feeling it's going to be Shinji Hirako. But we'll get to that. So we've got Matsumoto here with the
I'll end this quickly.
with the jiggle physics.
Take this.
A very slow attack. Okay, same as Rukio, I think,
Hurts.
except hers is slower.
Too slow.
Oh, she has movement with it though. Okay. And then that, I think you want to chain at the end of a combo.
Roar, hide a go. This is the end.
Okay. So this is... She moves a lot faster and she has medium range, right?
The end.
Let's, So, this is something that I guess we wouldn't have known when this came out, but she... Where it says it allows her to control her opponent's movement, she can literally pull you to the center of the screen with an attack. They don't show it here, but with one of her attacks, she pulls you to the center of the screen so that you're at mid-range, so that you can actually just keep, like, attacking. There's not really much you can do about it, except block. I think that's the only thing you can do. So yeah, strong to medium range attacks, and break the opponent's rhythm because you're pulling them to the center of the screen. She seems actually pretty decent. I forgot about the movement with the Shakaho. Um, so that's actually quite good because you can just teleport behind them and then chuck that off to your combo. Um, and that gets you back in range. And I guess the what was this one? The blue lightning one. Sokatsui, that's this one. This one seems really slow and it needs like to not necessarily charge, but she needs to get in position to use it. I think like that is going to be a combo ender into your rush attack and then try and get back in range again with your flash step. Because remember, the spiritual pressure moves 2 costs 100 of the EX meter, whereas just spiritual pressure move 1 uses 50, and you have 150 of your EX meter. So it's yeah, I think you're gonna have to manage her EX meter quite well to use her efficiently. But she seems all right. I mean, like I said, when she's activated her Shikai, she does become a completely different character. She becomes a lot faster and literally controls your movement. Um, so she does seem pretty good, actually. All right, so we've got Toshiro Hitsugaya here, who we've seen a lot of gameplay for already, same as Gin, and Byakuya, and Ichigo, I guess. So he's the first one to have a gauge, right? And this is interesting. So basically, you want to keep attacking the opponent, and you don't want to get hit. If you get hit, it decreases the gauge. Um, but Also, if you don't hit the opponent in a certain amount of time, the gauge starts to decrease as well. I believe it builds up to level 3, and then if you're attacked or you don't attack the opponent for a certain period of time, it will go down, and once it goes back, like once you've lost the whole gauge at level 3, it goes back to level 1. So, and then you have to build it up again. But I think it just increases his damage, right? Yeah, enhances specific techniques. I think it just increases his damage with the spiritual pressure techniques. But he's the first one you've got to sort of micromanage with the gauge, right? But it's still simple because you just need to be aggressive. And he has, obviously you can check you're at range, you can do close combat.
I'll show you no mercy.
Right. And I think in his Bunkai state, he just builds up his Tensor Jurin state quicker. I think that's all it does, which is pretty lore accurate to the anime because, like, you got to remember in the anime, Toshiro Hisugaya, like his Shikai already enables him to have full control over ice. Essentially, his Bunkai just allows him to use more ice. Like, if it's just a volume, I guess it's a volume difference. Like, you can use a high volume of ice after your Bunkai. Obviously, this is before Thousand Year Blood War, but um, yeah, he seems really like well-rounded character. He seems to have a lot of damage output, but is focused on just constant attack, um, which could be an issue against like players or characters that fight at a distance, right? Like Uryu, or that have counters. Yeah, you're going to play a lot into counters if you got to be aggressive and keep that Tensor Jurin stay active. Yeah, that could be an issue. I don't even know about Kenpachi. Like, Okay. So you got the signature move, which is like he stands still, and the more he gets attacked, the more damage he deals. But he's standing still, so you're just when you get used to it, you're just not going to attack him. And that's a ranged attack that might be quite difficult to avoid, actually. It seems quite fast. That you can see coming. That's extremely slow. Um, and then what does his Awakening do? So removes his eye patch. Kenpachi will be able to fight with all his strength, increasing his attack power and reishi, even when attacking head on. I can't even speak. His Kikon move also becomes stronger. Okay, so it increases the. I don't know if it would increase it by one or more than one, the amount of Konpaku takes away with his Kikon move. I wonder what that's based off actually. But yeah, his attack power and reishi increase, so it's just a damage and um regen, I think. Yeah, that's so sick. See, the fact that they introduced they've introduced Kenpachi so early makes me think that they're gonna add Noitara as one of the characters between now and March, now and the release of the game, just because that Keycon move he just did at the end there, where he uses both hands. He first did that against Noitara, I think, if I remember correctly. Um, so that makes me think that Noitara is going to be in the game because they have actually put in the Keycon move where he does that. So, but who knows? Who knows? It could just be like, oh, they thought it was a cool moment, so they added it as a Keycon move. Um, both things are plausible. Okay, we got Orkiura, who is literally just a glass cannon. So, yeah, he basically fires Zeros at the cost of Reishi. If you use them too much, then you deplete your own Reishi, and then you can get um, Drive Rushed and keep on moving. Yeah, so he sacrifices his own Reishi to release a powerful blast. Increases his combo damage, I guess, is a good thing. But yeah, I mean, he does also have a regen ability, right? He has this instant regeneration. We gradually restore Reishi over time, and then you get more Reishi over time if you hold down the input, which makes sense. But again, I don't know how you're gonna unless you push them away with a Zero. You push them away with a Zero and then use your instant regeneration so that they can't cover the distance as quickly. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna work. Really, depends how fast the regen is, to be fair. But I guess that also depends on the input time. So right, and I think he's the first one with a reawakening, right? Yep. Okay. The stages as well. Yeah, he's got the segunda etapa. Yeah, powerful signature move that hunts down opponents at the expense of the player's own reishi. Now I don't know. I know the Zeros get more powerful per awakening, obviously, but I don't know if that also means that they deal more damage to you um as Ulquiorra. Like I don't know if that translates as more damage back to yourself to use it. I don't know. Again, this is sort of stuff you need to test out when the game comes out, so we'll be doing that anyway. Okay, so we got Bankai Ichigo here, who I wasn't aware was in the game for ages, because I don't think we've seen any gameplay. Because this is the one that goes into full holification, I think.
Bring it on.
Okay, so still moves really fast. He has a Gesko Tensho now. Um, okay, what's this aura do? So Enters a state with reinforced attacks. Reinforced attacks. Okay, I guess that just means more damage. I would assume that means more damage. The gauge of Gesica Aura decreases by using skills and receiving attacks. Okay. So it'll just decrease over time as you attack.
Behold, this is
Yeah, there's your holification. Okay, so increases the amount of spiritual power, and probably just his damage output. I think he's built in a very similar way to Ulquiorra in this game, and he has a reawakening. I think this is when he dies, when his Reishi's fully depleted, then he reawakens. If he has the gauge full, like the bar full. But if he doesn't, then he doesn't reawaken. I think that's how that works. So I guess we'll see on that one. Um, it's really annoying that they've done. Why have they done it like? Anyway, um, let's have a look at Kaname. He seems kind of broken because of his Bankai. His Bankai restricts your visibility. Like, actually, just you cannot see where he is on the screen. And especially with the amount of movement he has with his abilities, he's going to be so hard to keep a track of. You got to be, like, really defensive. He might be another good counter to Byakuya. So yeah, he's got that flash step dodge sort of thing. And then look, he dashes back and doesn't attack. His spiritual pressure 2 has 2 forms. So you can dash back and attack or dash forward and attack to cover distance or create distance. And we got this Bankai. Look at this, look at that. Look at that. I mean, how good is your reaction time to block by the time he gets into the light? Like, you can sort of see him, I guess. But he moves so fast. Look at that, he's just gone. He's just gone. He's going to be so annoying to play against. People are definitely going to be using him in PvP, like online and tournaments and stuff. He's going to be used a lot. He seems broken. He seems absolutely broken. Obviously, the Bankai also has like a timed period, so it's not active the whole time, I don't think. And I think it's also cancelled if you deplete the opponent's Reishi, right? If you reduce Kaname Tozen's Reishi to 0, then it cancels the Bankai, I think. Don't quote me on that. Okay, we got Renji, who actually might be better than people think. So he has a lot of range, obviously. Yeah, there we go. So we got the sweep. There's the range that I was talking about. And then that. Right, so for a short period of time, the attacking power of special flash attack, signature move, and guard gauge depletion increases. So he does a lot of damage to your block meter as well, your guard gauge. And while this is in effect, a special flash attack and signature move recovers from a weakened condition after Bankai is cancelled. So when you use your Bankai as Renji Yaburai, right? When that runs out, because it runs out after a certain amount of time, or when your Reishi is destroyed, um, your damage is greatly reduced, right? But if you're smart with it, you can basically manage your damage output after Bankai by managing your EX meter and your spiritual pressure move to restores the damage for at least like a short period of time whilst it's active. Um, to then use your special spiritual move 1 or your signature move. So I mean, it's not ideal, right? Because it's the more costly one because it's 100 of your EX meter. But I mean, this Bankai, you're supposed to use it anyway to destroy Kompaku. Like it's when they're low on Kompaku, like 4, maybe 5. say probably 4, then you want to activate this, and this would just end your fight. Like, what are they doing against this? I'm sorry, but like, what are they doing against this? How are you beating this? Look, like even Byakuya tries to fire like a long range projectile. I know he didn't hold it, so the projectile wasn't as far as it could be, but like you're not reaching it. So you have to like sort of it's sort of like Squid Game, I guess. You just gotta block and stand there until he's finished his attack and then move forward slowly and then block again. I guess that's your only your only way of countering that. I really want to see two Renjis fight each other because I want to see what happens when they're both in Bunkai. Um, Maybe it cancels out the other Renji's Bunkai. Same with Komamura, um, Sergeant Komamura, because he's got his Kokujo Tengen Mule, his giant Bunkai. So if a Renji versus Sajin fight, it would be very, very interesting to watch. I wonder how they're going to do that because the whole screen changes. I mean, you can see it here. Um, like once he activates his Bankai, look, the whole screen changes. But the same thing happens for Sergeant Komamura as well. So it's either going to be very goofy or like you just can't activate your Bankai. So it's whoever's the first to get it, I guess. Um, Izuru Kira looks really interesting. He slows you down with his Shikai after doing I think a split pressure move or maybe a signature move. But yeah, he has a lot of restraint ability similar to Rukia. Um, and he can also fight at quite a distance, I believe, because he can pull you in. He uses a lot of Kido. Yeah, so you got your Bakudo number 4 Hainawa and then your Hado number 11 Suzuri Raiden, which you can tag onto your Hainawa so that you get some damage from pulling them in, or using your Bakudo. But I mean, it's not 100% necessary. I mean, obviously it doesn't cost any EX meters, so you can do just for free damage. Um, but he pulls you in. I don't know, man. Controlling movement is going to be a massive thing in this game. And then Rikujo Koro just completely restrains you, so you can just have a free reign. I don't know if you can block whilst you're in that. I doubt it. I think you'd probably be just completely immobilized. So um, I think the only way of getting around this is probably dodging it. And I mean, does he make it obvious that he's using it? Okay, he does stand there. He does sort of stand there for a second, so I guess you can dodge, but or flash step out the way. It's tricky. That's going to be tricky. Yeah, characters that restrict movement or have range are just going to be very difficult. Like Torzen has lots of range, moves around constantly, and has like the ability to like restricts your visibility, so you cannot actually see where he is. So you can just jump into the shadow, um, and that's it. Just attack you from anywhere. It is crazy. Right, let's go to Nelio. We're almost there, guys. By the way. So we have Nelio here. I think she's going to be interesting. I don't know if she's going to be used a lot. To be fair, maybe for the design though, the character design and the jiggle physics. Maybe. Who knows? So she does have that charge there, which is good, I guess. Um, she's got another one that you just stand there and charge, which is why I say that like she's probably not going to be used a lot after a while. You may see people use her at the beginning, and I guess really good Nelio players will continue using her, but um, I don't know. I just don't like the standing and charging thing because, as you will see in the gameplay, um, you have to constantly move. You can't just be standing there and charging because you're just leaving yourself open to get hit. And unless you're standing there and charging for a counter, um, and in which case you're obviously baiting them to hit you, if you don't have a counter ability, it seems like wasted. It's just too risky, basically. It's too risky. And this takes way too long to charge. It's a standard charge as well. I don't know. Maybe I'm underrating characters with the charge abilities, but I don't know, man. This is nice though. Like a quick flurry of attacks, quick charging time for spiritual pressure moves. She can cover distance really quickly. Yeah, she's I don't know. I think she's one of those characters that's just going to be good after awakening and not beforehand. But I don't know. If you get caught by that Sarah, I would imagine it would do a lot of damage. So we have the next Aranka, or Espada rather. We have Grimgel, who I think everyone is excited for. I'm really excited for the fight and the story between Grimgel and Ichigo. So yeah, he's the second one with a gauge, right? So he's the one um, that basically um, wants to take damage, whereas Toshiro really doesn't. So these two characters with gauges, so Toshiro are completely different. So Toshiro doesn't want to take damage, otherwise he loses his gauge. And Grimjow wants to take damage so that he can get into his annihilation state, so that you can increase your attack power and do different moves. Basically, that's the whole thing. But you do have to charge this again. He is another charge character, so it's sort of like he's a risky character to play, but it does really fit with the character in the anime. To be fair, so that signature move is what you're going to be using to charge it, your impulse gauge, so you can get to the annihilation state. Um, but I mean, you also want. I think also getting hit builds your gauge as well. So I don't know. That's fast. Damn. Okay. Also, when I do play the game, I will be playing it in Japanese. Like the writing will obviously be in English because I can't read Japanese, but I just like the Japanese language. It just sounds awesome. So I'm gonna keep the audio in Japanese. And yeah, when this guy's awakened, it just seems he has increased speed and attack, which is fair enough. He doesn't really need much more, to be honest. Mayuri Kurotsuchi might be another one um, that I would be tempted to main. He seems really interesting, especially with the poison gauge. He's another one with a gauge. So, um, here we go. So when some skills hit, poison gauge accumulates and decreases over time. So he's similar to Totoro in that I think you just constantly want to attack them with abilities that inflict poison. And then while the poison is ticking, um, it will increase the amount of damage they take from the poison, essentially. Um, I think that's how it works. The gauge will be consumed when attacking with. Oh, okay, no, it's not even poison attacks. You attack, and it gives him additional damage and obviously additional poison damage as well, which is crazy. I think he's the only damage over Slime character. I can't think of any others. Yeah, that move is crazy. That move is like Nemu just appears out of nowhere and restrains you and does damage. Like that looks like it would do a lot of damage as well. And he just completely covers the distance. Yeah, he's going to be a very, very good counter to range characters, which is why I said he'd be good against Byakuya. And then yeah, it's just more poison damage after his Bankai. Yeah, so strong ability to restrict the opponent's actions, slowly hunt the opponent down. Obviously, he has damage over time as well. Um, he just seems crazy. He seems really, really good. Right, we're getting to the exciting ones now. So we've got why do we have two Yamamoto and two three Shinji character trailers that are all the same? Okay. Anyway, let's have a look at Aizen. This guy is going to be a beast. As he should be. He is the main villain of the first what, 2 arcs. It's still technically a main villain. He's just locked away in Muken now. Right.
This is what I mean by the word strength. Futile. You're all weak and vulnerable.
Seems alright.
Hado number 90.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Let us celebrate this birth.
If I'm correct, I think he has 3 awakening stages. So he's got his base stage, the stage we just saw. He's got this one, and then he's got his like butterfly one. Yeah, 4th phase. Yeah. Which we don't see anything of, unfortunately. But he's gonna be crazy. I'm wondering because obviously after each time you awaken, you increase the amount of Konpaku you deplete with Kikon moves. At stage 4, is he going to be doing like 7 Konpaku? Surely not, right? Because that means you literally cannot die. You cannot like lose any of your Konpaku against him. Because if you start at 9, hopefully you don't, but if you start at 9 and in one of his forms he does a Kikon move, and obviously if you're below 30% health, you take the damage. Your Konpaku are gone. By the time he gets to like the 4th phase, he can just one-shot you. Like no matter how good you're fighting, because obviously you're going to be taking damage over time anyway. Not damage over time, but damage throughout the fight. I mean, that this 4th phase, he can just one-shot. Like this is it's mental. So I'm kind of wondering how they're going to balance that. I would assume it would just take ages for him to build up his reawakening stages. I think that's a good way to balance it, actually. Because in that way, it just makes you fight more aggressively against him, so that he doesn't get to that point. But yeah, I don't know. Like, sorry, let me pause it for a sec. If you're going to use a character like Rukia, for example, against Aizen, that's not going to work very well because no matter how aggressive you play, you don't do much damage, and he's just going to get to his awakening stages and just one-shot you. So I guess Ichigo might work. I don't know. What form of Ichigo would they fight him with? Probably Bankai Ichigo in the story. Yeah, Bankai Ichigo with the holification and the reawakening. They're going to do that, yeah, because if he does one-shot you, you get to reawaken. Yeah. Okay, I think that's how they're going to do it. Anyway, Yamamoto. Let's have a look. He seems pretty slow, but also very powerful. He's the 4th one with the gauge? Yes, I think. Yes, yeah, he's the 4th one with the gauge. So the Inferno gauge will accumulate by activating flash attacks and signature moves. And his Inferno gauge will decrease when quick attacks land on the opponent. So I guess you could keep using flash attacks to keep it there. That's interesting. I didn't notice that before. The more Inferno gauge accumulates, the more power will increase. And when the gauge reaches a maximum, it changes to Hellfire state. And then this is where his mage damage comes out. However, his Reishi will be depleted over time. So I don't know how long you stay in this Hellfire state for. I don't know if it's permanent. I don't know if it's only if you use flash attacks that it stays there. Because if you use quick attacks, then maybe that depletes it. I don't know. But seems very high risk, high reward, and he is quite slow as well. He does have range though. Yeah, look how slow that is though. Okay, he releases his Shikai.
The time is right. There is no way out of this.
But that's even covers Reishi. Yeah, increase of Reishi and the increase of damage, right? So again, it seems like one you maybe want to pop pretty quickly. Like the second you get it, you might want to just go into this state so that if you're low in like your first couple of Konpaku, and you manage to get your awakening, then you can just gain your health back pretty much instantly. I don't know how much, we'll see, but yeah, I don't know. He's not too much of a tank, even though he's really slow, which just kind of is confusing to me. I guess in a Shikai state, he could be a bit of a powerhouse. I keep on making this mistake. Right. So characterized by overwhelmingly high damage that will burn everything with its immense firepower. Yep. I mean that is Yamamoto, isn't it? Right, Shinji. This trailer, like I think a lot of people assumed that Shinji would be terrible. Um, and people were, I think, annoyed that he doesn't have reverse controls. Like he doesn't put reverse controls on the opponent. But I do think that would be too broken. And also, his Zanpakuto's ability isn't just to invert like um your sense of direction. It also inverts like your viewpoint of him as well. So he would be upside down, um, hitting you. And then also your controls would be reversed. So you're fighting someone who's upside down while your controls are reversed at any given moment because he doesn't actually have his awakening doesn't activate his Shikai. His spiritual pressure move 2 does. So that would just be nah. That would be that'd be way too ridiculous. I'm glad they didn't put in the reversal, but so he does have this is quite blatant, right? So he just slowly walks forward, and if you hit him, he counters. And then he has two forms of this. He has the such fun form and that's not it form. That's not it form is after you activate your Shikai, which is uh his spiritual pressure 2 move, I think. Um he activates his Shikai for a certain period of time. I don't know if that's for the rest of the fight. I guess we'll find out when he comes out. But yeah, he seems pretty good.
Stay focused.
So, but yeah, initially he just looked like a slow character, um, and didn't seem to do much. But when you realize that it's all based off his spiritual pressure 2 move to activate his Shikai, and the rest of his moveset changes completely, and his damage will increase massively. This is an issue. You see at the end here, look, he's like stuck in that animation, right? If you dodge Hiyori, or if you hit Hiyori, I think, um, he's still stuck in that animation. So you can punish that pretty easily. So you want to be careful using your spiritual pressure one move. However, in some of the gameplay we saw from the I forget what it's called now, like the thing we got recently, the other trailer we got, explaining like the operations and stuff, like how to operate the game and how it all works and what's going to be in it. We see that he uses Hiyori whilst he's attacking, and I think that's probably when he's used his Spiritual Pressure 2 move and he's awakened his Shikai. Um, so then it doesn't have this downside. So you basically everything revolves around your Spiritual Pressure 2. Everything revolves around it. Um,
You had this coming.
so the quicker you can use this, it's a breaker as well. So it's like you can just instantly go into your combo or go into your Spiritual Pressure 1 or go into your um signature move, that's it. And you're pretty much sorted. Um, it doesn't say that it's timed either, so it might just be for the rest of the fight. Once you activate it, it's done.
Come on, it's time.
But then why would you then activate it again afterwards? I don't know. And then he obviously holifies, which just makes it move faster and do more flash steps. That seemed to be part of his combo. He probably becomes part of his combo after he's awake. Oh, dude, that looks so sick. But yeah, so characterized by close combat style that forces the opponent to make a choice. This is why I want to use him, right? Because he's going to be good for fighting ranged characters because he has that walk forward counter that teleports behind them no matter where they are. So if they attack him whilst he's walking, he will teleport behind you and attack you. Um, you have your spiritual pressure move too, that everything obviously revolves around. You just constantly keep on the offensive, um, and you're moving around a lot more after your awakening, but you're already doing a lot of like moving around anyway, just based off of his abilities. He covers a lot of distance, so range characters like Byakuya and Uryu um, will probably struggle to like defend against him. I just feel like he's a really good character to like cover all bases, but he does seem quite technical. It is on the website. He does. I think he's like a 3 star ease of use, so maybe yeah, I think maybe 3 star. So I think he's going to be quite tricky to pick up initially and be like, oh, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a spiritual pressure move too, and then do the counter because people are going to be more aggressive after they get caught by a breaker, maybe, or maybe I want to go straight into my um spiritual pressure move one and use up all my X or EX meter rather. But you got to base it off of matchups because if you're fighting someone who counters, we'll use Byaku as an example because he does have the counter. Um, and you do your spiritual pressure move two and then go straight in and they counter, then you're in trouble because then you get countered obviously and then you get comboed. Um, but I don't know. It just seems like I'm just so excited for this game. Just because like the matchups, every character is so unique. And the Awakenings obviously all have different abilities and various effects on each character. And so that it makes the matchups that much more different. I mean, the amount of different matchups you can have in this game is crazy. Um, and you've basically got to be familiar with every single character just to know how their base kit works at a like um, foundation level at least, because as we'll see when we get to Shunsui, who you can see number three here, if you don't understand his child games, like if you don't know how to play around that, um, he just gets buffs and you get screwed. Basically, that's what happens. Um, so you need to know how his child games work. So yeah, it's a tricky one. Which is why I'm really glad they did the website and they have all this information out on all the abilities and stuff, so you can just reference that if need be. So we have Pro. He's the fifth one with the gauge. So the Rokureichu are the bugs that he plants on the opponent. His analysis progress stage, I believe, is going to be your meter there with the three next to it. And as it increases, the number of Rokureichu required to increase the spiritual pressure analysis level with the spiritual pressure move two, and the signature move will decrease. So basically, the more analysis gauge you have, the less effort you need to put into building it, um, which is fair enough. You don't have to focus so much on the Rokureichu. Um, Planting, I guess, with the signature move and spiritual pressure move too. And then your spiritual pressure understanding level, which is the 100 in the red circle there, accumulates by collecting planted Rokureichu. Um, and it's a stat that improves in stages based on the gauge accumulation and gets earned benefits, or can be earned benefits. Decrease the damage you get hit. So you decrease the damage you take, the higher that number is. You increase the probability for larger damage by Keycon move. So not necessarily by awakening do you increase the amount of Konpaku you decrease on the opponent with the Keycon move. And you can also revive, I think up to 2 times when your Konpaku runs out. So if you're at 100, you're reviving twice. Now I don't know if you've after you've revived the first time, whether that goes down to 0. I don't think it does. I think it stays there for the whole fight, 100 once you've got it, because there's so much effort to build that up and build up the analysis progress stage as well. That I just feel like if you had to build that up again whilst you're on 3 Konpaku, that would make him like a really bad character, in my opinion. But yeah, and his analysis progress stage is basically just to give you a sort of sense of like how much more Konpaku you're going to be doing or destroying rather when you do your Kikon move, and how many times are you going to be reviving, or are you going to be reviving? Um, I think it's just something to help you sort of gauge where you are with that with his abilities. But I mean,
Please stay put.
this is just a grab, so you want to stay away from him basically. He has a counter which places Rokureichu, I think. And his spiritual pressure move 2 we don't see, but I think that collects Rokureichu as well. And then he awakens. So obviously the number of Konpaku destructed by a Kikon move varies depending on the probability. So that varies depending on that analysis gauge. The higher your spiritual pressure analysis level is, the more possibility to get higher damage as well. Um, and he can revive with 3 Konpaku when his Konpaku runs out, up to 2 times, like I said. So it all depends on your analysis gauge, and it's just there to sort of show you where you're at with his Rokureichu collection, basically. He is really tricky to like understand, but I think when you get used to the rotation, it will become pretty easy. Um, but you have to use him quite a lot. Tricky, unique rules, but yeah, outcomes based on luck. I don't know so much about that. I think it's just paying attention to your Rokureichu and your your analysis level rather. Just because like, where's the luck effect? Because like, I guess they were trying to say it's to do with uh the revival mechanics, but you get your revives based on how much you build your analysis gauge anyway. So it's not really a luck based thing. I think it's just a managing of your um Rokurochu on the opponent and your all your spirit bugs and collecting those and making sure you do that before you awaken as well. So yeah, I don't think it's a luck based thing, but who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe there's other stuff in his kit that obviously we haven't seen in a 1 minute trailer. So we got Shunsui here. Katen Kyokutsu. Okay.
I have no choice. Care to play?
So this signature move, this spinning top move, doesn't seem great until you understand one of his child games is one that has a selected zone on the stage. And if you get there, the longer you stay in there, I think probably the more damage you do, or the more you maybe recover reishi. Basically, you want to stay in that zone and you want to dominate in that zone. And this attack, this spinning attack, is gonna catch opponents trying to get into the zone if you get there first, or it's gonna push them out. Um, or it just gives you an extend like a combo extender. So that's really good. This one obviously is just a ranged attack where you can also follow up whilst it's going towards the opponent, and this is just instant transmission. Like what the hell? It just teleports in front of them. Um,
Care to try me?
and then his awakening
Be with you until your death.
is yeah, you get 3 different children's games. I think one of them is you don't take damage or deal damage to the opponent. You just pass like I think it's Kage Oni, isn't it? So you pass an Oni to the opponent when they get hit, and they pass it to you if you get hit. And the last person to have the Oni on them is the one that takes all the damage that would have been dealt whilst the game was active. And then the other one was that camp one that I told you about, where there's a specific zone on the arena that you've got to dominate essentially for a certain period of time. And then the other one is basically red light, green light, where if you attack before the light goes green, again similar to Squid Game, if you move before the light goes green in Squid Game, but in here if you attack before the light goes green, um, then you get debuffs. I think you may have reduced damage, or you might take a certain amount of reishi as a penalty for attacking before it goes green. And if you attack after it goes green, then you move on to the next children's game and you get a buff from it. So probably increased damage, maybe some EX meter, maybe some reverse gauge if you don't have any. We don't know. We don't know yet until the game comes out and we can test it. But um, there's a lot to keep in mind. So there's going to be a lot of Kyoraku players. Um, And I think that's probably a good thing, because the more you fight Kyoraku, the more you'll get used to his awakening and his 3 child games, and the easier it will become to fight him. I think it's just a case of you have to fight him a lot in order to get used to his abilities. Because on paper they look really confusing, even though they're understandable more so than Sailor. Um, I don't know. I still feel like you'd need to fight against it to sort of to get it. The system overview trailer is what I was talking about before, where they showed Matsumoto's pulling ability to the center of the screen. We'll watch that another time. But we've got the last one. We got Komamura here, who looks very interesting, but has a massive downside. Um, Basically, after he uses his Bankai, he can't use his signature move or his spiritual pressure moves. Is what I get from it, because all of his moves use this Tenken. So his signature move, the first time you press it, it activates the Tenken, and then the second time you press it, that's when the attack happens. He has really good range. This attack has armor on it, so it can interrupt opponents mid-attack, essentially. Although I don't know if he's already charging it here. If you see him charging it, if you get to him before that arm moves forward, I don't know if that would interrupt the attack. I don't know. This may be something you just want to block. But we'll see. And then Imperial Authority takes ages to charge. It also looks like a block break, right? It seems to be unblockable. Inflicts heavy damage, nullifies the opponent's guard, so it's an unblockable attack. Has long range, but it's slow, basically. So I don't really know when you do. Maybe to instigate a combo, I don't know. Here we go. Like I said with Renji as well, it changes a complete like arena. Like, it changes it completely. So I don't know how Komamura and Renji fights are gonna go, but I don't know how that's gonna work. But yeah, after his Bankai, sorry, let me go back. After his Bankai is cancelled, which is either after it's taken a certain after it's taken a certain amount of time after it's been activated, or when your Reishi is depleted. So if you get hit, wow, that's Reishi depleted. That's not even Konpaku. I don't know now. Is that if you get hit? Because it's really easy to keep people at a distance with that Bankai. Um, so Reishi, if you get hit and it deactivates it, that does make a lot of sense. But at the same time, I feel like that's really, really bad. Like he's probably better off without the awakening at that point, if that's the case. Um, but yeah, so after his Bankai is cancelled, he can't use Tenken. And I don't know if that enables, like, prevents him from using his spiritual pressure moves. Hopefully it doesn't, because then that would just make him terrible, and no one's going to use him. He, I guess, is going to be good against noobs essentially because he has a lot. He covers ground. He has armor and unblockable, and then he has like a stage altering Bankai. So him and Renji are both going to be quite good against noobs, I think. Renji seems to be the safer character to go with if you want a Bankai that changes the stage or the arena. Um, and if you want mid-range attacks, he seems like the better one to go for. And obviously his spiritual pressure 2 enables him to get some of that damage back for a short period of time. So whereas this guy, you just lose everything. So I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that range is mental. But yeah, that's gonna have to be it for the character trailers. Um, but yeah, so what I will say is that when the game comes out, I think the first thing I'm gonna do is the story mode. I'll do the campaign first, and then that'll be like a video series, I guess. I'm just gonna smash that out, and then I'll probably do a stream where I find my main, so I go through all the characters or a certain amount of characters, and play them and see who I feel more comfortable with using, or who I feel is the best for me to use at the time. Um, and then after that, we'll go into PvP. I mean, I can duel. I'm thinking of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I can fight subs, I guess, on 1v1s. Because I would assume this game you can create lobbies like in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I would assume so. In which case, like, I don't know. I don't know how that works, and we won't do until the game comes out. But um, yeah, so that's the plan. It's to smash out the story mode straight away, do a bunch of videos on it, release that as quick as possible, then get into finding who I'm going to main in PvP, then getting into some PvP fights or like tournament or whatever, like competitive PvP, and maybe some friendly, like to do some friendlies. That's the plan, and then from then on, obviously, we'll see how it goes. But I really can't wait for this game to come out. Thanks everyone for watching this video. If you like the video, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, for more content, and I will see you guys in the next one. All right, bye bye.